Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast, a podcast carefully designed to introduce a wide range of very talented and highly skilled professionals ready to share their knowledge and advice with you. Please welcome the host of I Got a Guy podcast, Michael Drelichars. Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast. I'm your host, Michael Drelichars. Thank you so much for being with us. We have so many awesome returning listeners every week. We really appreciate your loyalty. And to our new listeners, we hope you click the subscribe button so you get notified each time we do post a new episode. And hopefully you enjoy our guest this week. If you are new and you haven't heard our previous episodes, I encourage you to go to igotaguypodcast.com. That's igotaguypodcast.com for a list of all of our episodes and a short synopsis about each one of our guests, so you can pick and choose which episodes you want to listen to. And you can listen to them on any audio platform that you choose, but you can also watch the episodes on YouTube or Rumble as well, if that's more your style. So there's a link right there on our website, and you can get to all the episodes that way. So I encourage you to preview and review each of the episodes and see what works for you and which of our guests can help you in some way, shape, or form. As you know, this show was born out of reading a book called The Go-Giver. Bob Burg is the author of this book, and it's a short book, easy read, but it really talks about the power of networking. And so many people have a misconception about networking, and they think networking is all about getting referrals. The reality is networking is about giving referrals, and this book highlights that in 5 different stories. And they have they provide what they call their stratospheric success, the 5 laws of stratospheric success. And I oftentimes will highlight one law as it parallels with our guest this week. And I'm gonna use the law of receptivity today, and it's defined by the key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. The key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. And I think as you get to know our guest this week, you're going to see how that marries up very well with her personality and her experience in her field. So anyway, let's transition now, and let me introduce our guest this week. This week we have Raquel Bartlett, who is a real estate professional here in the city of Chicago. Raquel, thank you so much for being with us this week.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Good. So Raquel and I, we sit on a board of directors together, and so I've gotten to know Raquel. Raquel, thank you so much for being willing to participate in our I Got a Guy podcast this week. So you are a real estate professional in the city of Chicago, and you've been doing real estate for quite a while. So tell us a little bit about your background. Let's start out with your background and how you got started in real estate, and where you how it's kind of carried you through your career and transformed to where you are today.
Yes, thank you so much for asking that question, because I believe I have an interesting background. I hated sales my whole life. Growing up, I always thought that salespeople were generally sleazy and were only out to look out for themselves and only cared about commission. And I went to school for psychology to be a marriage and family therapist, and did not pursue that. Obviously, I did after college. I was a professional nanny for 10 years, and focused on toddlers for corrective behavior. After that, I wanted to do something a little bit more and continue to run my own business. I think that being a nanny helped me. It kind of grew this entrepreneurship in me, working with parents and just working together, and just having my own just agenda on how to work with parents to assist them with their children.
Sure.
And I just kept looking and Googling, and real estate kept popping up. And I was very hesitant because it was heavy on sales. But I grew up in Chicago. I love Chicago, especially architecture here. I think we just have a rich history, especially in our landscaping. And I decided to talk to brokers and do a little bit more research. And it turns out that it's all about connecting with people, having a relationship, and letting that grow. And what I've learned is that a lot of realtors tend to just acquire their clients, close the deal, and then forget about them. And I felt that as a nanny, after I outgrew the families, I was still keep in contact with them and have this relationship with them. And I'm like, well, that's easy. I can do that in real estate.
Sure.
So I did. So I decided to just jump right in, and I started with rentals, and turns out I'm really, really good. I just had to learn the sales side. I think my personality really helped with acquiring clients. It was more on how to not show all of my cards at once. So a lot of negotiation I had to learn. So I decided to do real estate on weekends and evenings while working a normal 9 to 5 job for Yelp. Why Yelp? Because they have a well-renowned, tenacious sales training. And I was there for a year, and I was very transparent with them. And they supported my idea of teaching me all that I can teach them, and growing and really just implementing the feedback that they give me and leave after a year to continue to pursue real estate full time. And because of Yelp, I was able to uh, just work on that sales side of real estate, which helped and just combines who I am as a person and generally wanting to connect with my clients while still implementing that sales side and just working together, which has helped my real estate career a lot. And that's my
Sure.
background in real estate. Here I
Great,
am.
great, great. Well, you bring up a really important point that is often overlooked, and the fact is, selling is really about serving. And if you ask the right questions and you have the right intent in your heart, you can generate a sale because you're serving somebody's needs. You're addressing their needs. It's not it's not a con game. It's not a trick. It's not games. The reality is it's about serving the needs of your clients. And I've been in sales for many decades, and I love the field of selling. And I don't never felt that I ever talked anybody into a sale. It was all about uncovering their needs and addressing the needs and asking the right questions and getting to the bottom of what they're really looking for. Because that's how you first of all that's how you can close a successful sale, and that's how you get referrals and you build relationships and you can build a business because of it. And in my business, my business is GPS tracking. We do that every day, and we're solving problems. We're addressing issues our clients have, using our technology as a tool to help them gain and achieve their goals. So it's I actually think that selling is a very honorable profession, even though it has a bad connotation in the industry. It's really it's a very positive field, and with your personality, you have a very outgoing, bubbly personality. I think that fits very, very well within a sales career. And I see that as a lever to your success. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. And I agree with you when it comes to working in sales, it's very serving and customer service. And just last year, I learned that it is about customer service and serving people. And when I joined Graystar to work in property management, that is a new skill I learned. I'm surprised it took me this long to acquire that skill. Nonetheless, I'm very grateful that I learned that skill to be customer service and implement that into my sales career, and just constantly have that mentality of how can I serve you and what's the best way to serve you with my expertise and meeting your needs, which is really great.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And um, paralleling that to my GPS tracking business, that's exactly how we focus on it. And I looked at when I started Precise Fleet Tracking, I looked at my competition and wanted to understand what they do, and I do just the
Hmm.
opposite.
Yeah.
Because I
Yes.
believe what we do now, actually serves our clients' needs. It doesn't. It's not about serving the corporate needs. It's about serving the client's needs, and um, and that's how I want to buy as well. So if I sell the way I want to buy, more than likely other people want to buy the same way, and
Mhm.
they want to buy when their questions and their needs are satisfied. So so you've been doing real estate for a while. You're in transition now, and but you're gonna stay in the real estate field. Now,
Yes.
what and so tell us about the neighborhoods in Chicago that you serve today.
Yes. Oh, well, I build a lot of my business in the north and northwest side, which is a lot of millennials, to save legal verbiage. So a lot of millennials, which is interesting to serve people my age and seeing where they are in their journey as far as being homeowners for the first time. That's really what my niche is first time home buyers. I think that they teach me so much every single
Mhm.
time I work with them. And it's good to know that they're trusting me with my experience, my expertise. And the northeast and northwest side of Chicago has a lot of the traditional brick homes, which I love. A lot of Victorian style homes, like in Lincoln Park, filled with townhomes. I love townhomes. I think they're a really great starter home. And it has a nice sense of community, especially being in the middle of the city. I know you're a suburb kid, so in Chicago, it sometimes it can be overwhelming being such a big city, especially in downtown. But when you break down the neighborhoods and you find something like Lincoln Park or Wicker Park or Boattown, you can see the skyline, and yet you feel like you're part of a community because they're so well small knitted, and you have your own park districts that are public, a lot of free festivals that they have just right in the middle of the street, and they're all blocked off, so it's very safe, very community driven, which is what I love about the northeast and northwest side of Chicago, is that you have the sense of the city when you want to explore. But if you just want to feel very residential, very quiet, you can also get that at the same time, which is unheard of and very rare. So that's a little bit about the neighborhoods that I really work in.
Yeah, you know those. I am. I've lived out in the suburbs my whole life, but I'm very familiar with the city. I have many clients in Chicago, and I spend plenty of time in and out of Chicago. And what I like about the neighborhoods is, you can be in a neighborhood where you have your the personality of the neighborhood, but getting to public transportation or onto the expressway system is just a few blocks away. So you can
Yes.
get in and around. Now you got your traffic to deal with, but you can get in and out of your neighborhoods very easily, and it's well designed from that perspective. Um, as long as you can get around the road construction.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Don't get me started on the road construction. There's always something
Yeah,
going on Fullerton.
sure.
I just, when is it going to be done? That's my
Yeah.
question.
Well, the beauty is when it's done, it's really awesome. They do a nice job on all those. It just takes some time. You got to be patient, and it'll test your patience for sure. But getting back to your previous comment, um, I think that new home buyer is a great market segment to focus on, especially as you continue to learn and grow in your field, able to helping people that are newer to the field, newer to
Yeah,
the industry. They probably have more questions than they have answers, and
yeah.
so you can kind of carry them through the process and walk them through it with while understanding their um, their perspective, because you're also a young gal that I don't know if you're technically a millennial, but you're a young gal, and
It's-
you can relate with them is the point I wanted to get to. You can relate with them socially and educationally, and now take your expertise and guide them through the most important transaction of their life. So that's got to be very rewarding for you when you do close a transaction. You probably make new friends along the way because these people, you've spent so much time with them, you know their goals, their objectives, their needs, their family makeup, if they're married or are not married, they have children or not, etc. You get to really know these people pretty in depth, and that's got to be rewarding for you.
It is. It is. Being a nanny for so long, it was one of the most rewarding opportunities that I was given. And going into real estate, I wanted to make sure that I put my best foot forward so that I can have a rewarding career, not for myself, but also for the people that I'm connecting with. I want to make sure that I not necessarily leave because I still want to have that continuous growing relationship with my clients, but just when we close a deal, I want them to just feel relieved and good that they reached out to me or that I
Mhm.
reached out to them, and just feel very grateful that they had someone by their side representing them and really feel that I had their full support at all times. So it
Right.
is very rewarding, and I don't think that feeling is ever going to leave. I think every deal I close feels like my first deal, and it's
That's
just
great.
very exciting. It's so exciting, and I'm very happy to be in this career. Just after like 7 8 years, to still feel like my first deal is
Yeah.
closed every single time.
Yeah. That does make the career very rewarding that way because it's not work, it's not drudgery because
Hmm.
every day you get up and you're ready to serve another client and I'm uh, many years older than you are, so I've been through different careers and different corporate positions, and I feel the same way about my GPS tracking. I wake up every day and I'm excited to get to work because I want to serve more people, I want to help more people, and every new client has a different scenario and different circumstances in a different area, and we look for a creative way to solve that. And I find that very rewarding as well. So um, I applaud you for finding this gem in your career so early in your adulthood. So you can run this gambit here for many years. So you should feel yourself very blessed.
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel like sometimes I found this late in my life, so it feels good to know that
Oh no 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 no
young
no.
in my life.
Not at all. Not at all. It's you found it at the perfect time. Honestly, found it at the perfect time. And real estate is an interesting animal because it changes constantly. And I know and I network with a lot of realtors. Many of them are in the suburbs, but it doesn't really matter if you're in the suburbs, you're in downtown Chicago, or if you're in another city around the country. I know some realtors in Florida as well, and it's all pretty similar. The reality is the market is challenging right now. There's limited inventory. The interest rates are
Mhm.
higher than they used to be. Now, granted, 7% ish is about the average norm for the last probably 40 years. If you average the interest rates over time, so the interest rate isn't that out of line. It's just much higher than it was just a couple years ago. So people are still reeling with the shock of their mortgage, potentially being so much higher. But you throw those factors in, and it definitely does make it challenging. And I'm sure you've had many customers that have bid on properties and they don't win them because they've been outbid,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
and so that
it's me a couple of
yeah,
times.
yeah, certainly. Um, I've heard some realtors say that sometimes second best offer wins because the first place offer falls out. Have you had any of that experience?
No, I've never had second place offer. I did have an offer fall through, and I knew it was going to fall through because the dad decided to get involved. And that was a learning experience for me and for my clients. I told her that we're working with one of the best realtors in Chicago. And although you're coming in with a cash offer, it's still way too low below market, where I know for a fact she's going to want someone else who is going to finance their home and just be a little bit higher. So I really tried to talk to her and she understood. And I tried to talk to the dad, but he's like, it's a cash offer. That doesn't make any sense. We're just do it. And I was like, okay. So right before I sent him, like, are you sure you want to do this? Because you already know I'm very direct. We're not going to get this house.
Sure.
So I suggest, I have a second offer for that other house that you really wanted ready for you to send after this one fails. Because I am like 99% sure it's going to fail. She says, okay, let's just send it and see what happens. I let the broker know, like, hey, no, this is a low offer. Trust me, I tried to talk to them several times. They're not listening. By law, I have to give you this offer. But just so you know, it's very low ball. And she goes, okay. I send it to her. She sees it. She's like, yeah, no. And I was like, okay, great. Thank you so much for your time. Let me go tell my clients that it is rejected. And she was bummed. But I was like, well, like, what did we learn from this experience? And it's not to make you feel bad, but it's just like, this is a great learning opportunity for me on how to communicate better with when parents are involved. And a learning opportunity for you is that you hired me as the expert and you need to trust me from here on out, because at the time it was a very hot market. So these homes were coming as quickly on as they were coming off. So I'm like, we don't have a lot of time to waste like we just did right now. Um, and she agreed. And so we had that second contract ready and we submitted it. She got it. But that was really scary for me because that's never happened before. And just being put in that situation was very scary. Just having these conversations with the parents and my clients and just being kind of the authority over me and not really taking control. But it was just a learning experience, and I think as
Sure.
long as I'm learning and implementing that, it's good. And
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, you're serving your client, and your client as first-time home buyers. Um, I would think that bringing in a parent as a resource um, would be pretty normal, pretty common. And
it
there are
is.
you certainly have the situation. You have the risk that the more minds you get in on a decision, the more chance you're going to have for things to go sideways. So that's a guarantee. Um, but but in the process, you learned, the client also learned, and hopefully they got the house that they really wanted, and that is going to be a good investment for them. Even if they missed out on this other house, you know things work out the way they're supposed to work out, and all you can do is the best you can do, and provide an honest assessment of the situation, and let the chips fall where they fall. Uh, I've also I know for a fact that you know sometimes in a crazy market like we have now, sometimes the highest offer doesn't win the deal.
Mm-hmm.
So there are many factors that fall into place when it comes to these kind of transactions. So um, you'll probably experience all of them over time, and maybe you'll write a book at some point.
I don't know about a book, but maybe another podcast. I think I'm a better talker than I am a writer.
Okay, great. Well, Raquel, we're going to take a quick break here, and I'm going to add our sponsor into this podcast. But when we come back, I want to get into some other successes that you've had and some unique situations that you have experienced, because I really want our audience to get a feel for um, the type of experiences you've had, and maybe if they haven't considered some of those neighbors in Chicago, maybe they would consider them based on some of the conversations you'll have. So let's touch on that after the break. But before we do that, let's get the best way for for one of our listeners to reach out to you if they wanted to investigate buying a home in the city. What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
The best way to reach out to me would be via email, which is bartlettraquel@gmail.com, or they can give me a call. I prefer calls over text messages, just because I'll answer those quicker, at 773-919-3240.
Okay.
I can always send it so you can write it
I
down.
will. I will get that updated, and I'll put that in our show notes. I'll put it on the screen for our viewers as well. But I'll put it in the show notes, and they can reach out to you. And to our listeners, as I tell you all the time, and when you do reach out to Raquel, make sure you let her know that you heard about her here, and I Got a Guy podcast, so Raquel can report back all the folks that are calling her off of our episode here. So hopefully you get plenty of calls there, Raquel. So
Yes.
let's take a quick break. We'll come back and then we'll continue talking about some of your successes. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. I hope you're getting a lot of knowledge from this week's guest. But now a word from our sponsor. If your business uses heavy equipment as part of its daily routine, sadly, I don't need to educate you on the reality that this equipment has been the focus of many local thieves either. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions works with business owners that own commercial vehicles and heavy equipment. We help these business owners enhance their growth and profit through the use of GPS tracking technology. Recovering a stolen asset is just one way we contribute to the bottom line of the business. Our GPS tracking units used in heavy equipment are weather tight so they can handle the elements and even have an internal battery to continue to report its location should the battery in the asset be disconnected. We have several examples of the benefits of GPS tracking in heavy equipment. Reach out to Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions for a detailed discussion about our options and to see if it makes sense for your business. You can find Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions at precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com. Or call us at 847-865-6008. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. GPS tracking made simple. Now, back to the show. Okay, we are back. I am Michael Drelichars, host of I Got a Guy podcast. Thank you so much for being with us this week. We really appreciate your attentiveness and your subscribing to our episodes and sharing us with your circles of influence. This week we are speaking with Raquel Bartlett. She is a real estate professional focusing on the city of Chicago and numerous neighborhoods in the northwest and northeast sides of Chicago. So, Raquel, thank you so much for being with us this week.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Raquel, before the break, we talked a lot about your transition into real estate and how you got started and how you focus on first time home buyers in a lot of cases. But if we could touch on, I'd like to hear some of your successes, some of the things you're doing, some of the success you've had in closing some of your transactions here in the recent past. Really like our audience to kind of get a good feel for how you've been able to overcome some objections, some challenges, and end up with a successful transaction in the end.
Yeah, of course. When I started in property management last year, it was my first time learning property management, let alone working on a lease up, which is filling up a luxury high rise from the ground up. So not only am I working at a startup, I'm working at a startup that I have no knowledge in other than knowing how to work with people and coming from the broker side, which is working with rentals and representing the clients and buyers and sellers. This time I'm representing a building and representing property, and my job is to fill it up. So I have two big plates in my hand, and I'm just learning as we go at a rapid speed. It ended up being the fastest lease up in Chicago, working with the top developer in the South Loop. So I have a lot of pressure, and I'm learning two new things at a rapid pace. So I am excited because I love a good challenge, but it's very chaotic,
Sure.
and a lot of things just happened to have in my personal life. I was finishing up a divorce. My grandfather ended up passing away, and so
Sorry to hear that.
did my brother-in-law. So I had two losses and a divorce, which was amicable enough, relatively speaking, but still a divorce while still learning, while working in this new field of real estate, and having the pressure of working with a top developer. And so that was a lot. And I just had to just take it as it came,
Hmm.
because, you know, I think my grandfather, he was very matter of fact guy. So I know that he would want me to just put my best foot forward while working. And so I worked the day of his funeral. There wasn't much to do. The funeral home kind of did everything. So I worked the day of the funeral. And then when it was time for uh, the wake to start, I of course went, knowing full well that I gave myself time to kind of work and release some energy, while working, and then focus on my father and my grandfather, and then get back to work the next day. So yeah, I think it taught me that you can be resilient and still learn if you just accept that life is happening, maybe not happening to you, but it's life is just happening. It's always going to happen. And if I want to grow, then I just have to learn how to accept these things that are happening in my life in the healthiest and best way, and to just keep moving forward. Even if I'm crying, just keep moving forward. So I think that attributes a lot to my success is through these harsh adversities that just so happens in 1 year. So yeah.
Okay. So you're able to get this high rise leased up very quickly.
Yes.
And these are rentals, or was that purchases?
These are rentals. These were rentals. It was 299 units, 31 floors on Wabash in the South Loop.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on moving that through so quickly. Um, how about in the real estate, the sale real estate side of it, sale?
Yes, I think I'm still growing as far as the successful side. On the buyer side, I'm slowly growing my seller clientele as well. And I think it's because I'm willing to still hustle like we used to back in old days, which is door knocking. It can be very uncomfortable. And I think when you do things that are uncomfortable, you reap more benefits
Mhm.
because you're just out there doing something that most people are not going to do. So you're probably going to get a higher success rate. And I do, just by knocking on people's door, being upfront and just saying, hey, my name is Raquel. I'm a realtor. I'm knocking on your door because I want to know if you're planning to sell. If you're not planning to sell, maybe you can connect me with someone. Do you have 3 minutes to just talk about what we can do for each other? We can either say yes and talk outside, or say no and then I'll just move on. And most of the time, because I'm so honest and direct, they usually are willing to give me the time and day, whether they're planning to sell or not. And they'll take my business card. Sometimes they would give me their contact information, and that is more of a success because now I can reach out to them. And so I
Sure.
would. So at the end of the day, I would reach out and be like, hey, thank you so much for chatting. I'll give them a call. If they don't pick up, I'll send them a voicemail and an email and a text message. That way I am just front and center of them, right after we spoke earlier that day. Then I'll reach out again, the next week, and just constantly send them like emails. That way they can just see it and delete it. I don't expect anything else. I just want them to always see me constantly reaching out. And I think that is a really good way to always be in the back of their mind. That way, when they are
Sure.
ready, they're like, oh, yeah, Raquel has been sending me emails the past like year, which makes them feel special because they're like, oh, she's thinking about me. Now I need her. This is perfect. So, um, door knocking really attributes to my success in buyers and sellers. which I think is why I have such a heavy enough volume in working with buyers and sellers, because I do the work that other realtors are not willing to do because they're either embarrassed or feel very uncomfortable. And that's
Right.
because I'm door knocking and cold calling.
Right. That is very true. It is a situation where you do what others won't do, and separate yourself. You stand above the rest, and
Mhm.
you still have to keep yourself safe in the right
Yeah.
environments. Be aware. Be aware of your surroundings, but it can certainly help you identify those opportunities when they come up. And it's oftentimes it's that I don't want to call it harder work, but the easy work would be just blanketing the world with emails, where you're hoping to catch somebody. But the more personalized approach, knocking the door, getting to know them personally, introducing yourself personally, eyeball to eyeball, makes a big difference in a lot of people. So I applaud you for doing that, because it's not easy. First of all, here in the Chicago area, where the weather is different all the time, um, and so you kind of you've but you got to be different in order to stand out. So that's a testament to your commitment to your profession when you're willing to do that, because so many people look for the easy way out only, and that's not always the best way.
No, no, it's not. No, it's not. I've tried it, and it just ends up being harder in the end. So
No,
you
yeah,
might as well put in
and,
the
and,
work
and not as,
now.
and not as fruitful for sure.
Hmm.
So you grow your base of clients through door knocking and cold calling. Um,
Yes, door
how else
knocking and
do
cold.
Yeah, how else do you find your prospects and clients?
I find a lot of my buyers by hosting open houses. So these are not my listings, they belong to other brokers. And I'm just constantly asking, like, hey, I noticed that you have a listing, it's still on the market. Can I host for Saturday and Sunday from this time to that time? And they typically just say, yeah, because they're busy with other things and they don't have enough time to host. So I'm like, all I ask in return is that the buyers that are not represented, I keep them and introduce them to you. And it's a win-win for everybody. I'm not asking for a referral fee. I'm not asking you to pay me 25 or $50 to sit at your house, which is sometimes what brokers do to get these open houses going, and they just don't have the time. So it's nice when the buyer brokers reach out to the seller brokers and say, like, hey, I'm willing to do this for free as long as I get to keep the buyers. So they're really happy.
Yeah,
And that's really how I get most of my buyers, is honestly just sitting at open houses every weekend that I have available. And I try to keep my weekends open mostly just for work, and then I can play later and do other things as a reward.
sure.
And so, yeah, so that's what I do to get most of my buyers. And I also wait until someone, like if I'm at a networking event or I'm hanging out with friends and I'm meeting new people, I never, ever always say, hey, I'm a realtor. If you're ever looking for a house, I never like that. I just wait for the question to come up and have it be very organic. And I think that attributes to a lot of my success of my clients coming in, is that they know that they came to me versus me going to them in that
Right.
aspect. Especially because it's not the time or place to say, hey, I'm Raquel and I'm a realtor. Nice to meet you. And I'm at a birthday party. It doesn't work for me. I know that there are other brokers who it does work for, but it doesn't work for me. And I just do what naturally works for me. And it's always to be as organic as possible and genuine as possible.
Yeah.
And that's really how I get my buyers. Yeah.
Yeah, I really think that's an important aspect. You have to be genuine to yourself. You have to know your personality and work within your framework, um, because that'll come across as natural. If it's forced,
Yeah.
people will feel that it's unnatural and it won't come across as well. I also I got to tell you, I got to commend you on sitting open houses for other listing agents because in an open house, especially now in today's market, you might get 30 or 40 people walking through a home on a given day,
Hmm.
and if just a few of them are not represented, you have a handful of new potential prospects. They're in the market because they're walking open houses.
Yep.
So now you have an opportunity to connect with them on a personal level, and establish yourself. And if they don't have representation, now you can just pair them along to other open houses and build your book of buyers that you can potentially sell houses to. That's really smart.
It's I have to just give credit to the brokers that I spoke to when I was deciding to be a broker, and I just asked them what are all the ways that I can get business, whether they're terrible ideas or good ideas. And,
Sure.
um, sitting at open houses was one of them. Cold calling was another. So, yeah, it's just sometimes you just have to put in this kind of work until you can get a good enough sustainable business where it's just naturally going to come because of word of mouth.
Right, right. And the reality is, if it allows you to serve more people, then it's a win. So,
It
and
is.
every realtor is a little bit different as to what their personalities will allow them to do and what they're good at. So,
Hmm.
play to your strengths.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So, any other thoughts you want to share with our audience here about your real estate experiences and how they might benefit from reaching out to you?
Yes, if you work with me, or when you work with me, I will always be very transparent, direct, in a safe space where you feel very comfortable and welcome to ask uncomfortable questions. And I'm also very intuitive. So if I sense that you want to ask a question and you're too timid to ask, which is totally understandable, I will bring it up myself as though it was my idea. I would never make you feel less than. If anything, I will make you feel like you're an expert following another expert. By the end of your deal closing, you're just going to feel so good about your purchase. Because we looked at all the numbers and we looked at your feelings as well, and just really came together as a team to make your dreams come true, whether it was whether we had to put it on hold or kind of rush to it because someone else was going to take it. Either way, you're going to feel very safe and welcome and glad that you decided to move forward, and I was just a part of it. So
Good.
that is a really good benefit of working with me.
Well, great, great. That's awesome. And yeah, thank you for that because that is important. People need to feel comfortable and need to be able to feel like they can ask any question that they need. Because again, this is a huge decision. And right now, have heard from other realtors where people are throwing offers in sight unseen on some homes, and it's really tough for a first time home buyer to do that.
Hmm.
It's almost impossible for a first time home buyer to do that because they have more questions than they have answers, and they have very little experience. And the last thing you want to do is get into a piece of property, a home, a condo, a townhome that doesn't fit your needs. And
Hmm.
it's really a shame when it happens. So it's so you need to have um, the right guidance, and I think you provide that because of your experience and because you can relate with the younger buyers. You know what they're
Yeah.
thinking because you've been in those shoes, and so it's really good. Well, I commend you for that. So
Thank you.
yeah, Raquel, we're gonna wrap up the show here. I do want to thank you for joining us and wish you all the best on the growth in your career. I think you did find the right field for yourself, and I'm glad you have a different outlook on sales,
Yes.
because sales is a very rewarding career, and it's not always easy. It's sometimes it's very challenging, but it can always be very rewarding. And you have to keep the right mindset to work hard, be consistent, be thorough. And it sounds like you have all those lined up already. So now it's just a matter of getting you in front of everybody that needs a home in the city of Chicago, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so
I need all the
yeah, exactly. So as we wrap up, why don't you share your contact information, your email address, and your phone number for our listeners?
times. My email is going to be Bartlett Raquel, Bartlett, Raquel, Raquel, @gmail.com. And my phone number is 773-919-3240.
Even though the inventory might be a little low, Raquel can certainly help you through that, and get you lined up when the right home does come on the market, and put you in contact and get you through those homes quickly and efficiently, and hopefully help you negotiate successfully.
Yes. Yes.
Very good. Very good. All right, that's awesome. Well, so Raquel, thank you for that. And as we wrap up the show, I always throw a little plug in for my day job. I do this podcast as a way to give back to small business owners and independent business owners like Raquel. I'm so passionate about small businesses, and it's really the foundation of our country, and we need to do more to build up and promote small businesses. So I find this is a way to give back to the small business community, and I own a small business as well, and that business, as you know, is GPS tracking, so let me throw in a little plug for my GPS tracking business. We work with business owners that own commercial vehicles, and we help these business owners enhance their growth and profit through the use of our GPS tracking technology. So if you're a business owner and you have these vehicles, and you're either curious about where your drivers are throughout the day or concerned about their safety, we have solutions that can help. And if you have assets like bobcats and backhoes, and trailers, mowers, and you're concerned about either misplacing these units or the theft of these units, we have tracking solutions that can minimize the risk and aid in the recovery should they be lost or stolen. So I encourage you to reach out to Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. There's many reasons why we are different than the others. I won't go into it here in this broadcast, but I would love to talk to you about this personally, one-on-one. But you can reach out to Precise Fleet Tracking at precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com, or call me at 847-865-6008. That's 847-865-6008. We can get into a detailed discussion and see how we might be able to serve your needs. So thank you for letting me plug that, because that is important. That does help keep the wheels of commerce moving. But anyway, I love what I do, and I love to serve more people. So I'm always looking to help anywhere I can, just as you do in your real estate career. So again, Raquel, thank you so much for being with us today. Best of luck to you, and I will look forward to seeing you in the future. And to our listeners, thank you again for subscribing, listening, and make it a great week. We'll talk to you all soon. Take care. Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. For past podcasts and more information, go to igotaguypodcast.com. That's igotaguypodcast.com. Please share this podcast on your social media feeds, and tune in again next week to I Got a Guy podcast.